When it comes to generating leads on your website, what actually converts better, a chatbot or a live chat with a real person? In order to figure this one out, we're going to look at the core differences between a chatbot and a live chat. The situations where live chat tends to outperform, the situations where automation like AI or chatbot tends to outperform, the key business variables that influence the outcomes, things like traffic, lead value, staffing capacity, and operating hours. And finally, and probably the most valuable, how you can run a simple test yourself to stop guessing and start measuring how your tools are actually performing to see which one's better. So let's start by looking at an assumption many people make. Live chat is more personal. There's a real human on the other side. But live chat also depends on availability. It depends on response speed. It depends on staffing, and it depends on consistency. Think of humans as vessels that can do so much, but we're limited by two things: time and energy. We don't have unlimited of it, and therefore we can do a fantastic job, but sometimes we're limited with the time we have. If someone opens your chat and waits 2 minutes for a reply, is that still an advantage? How about 20 minutes or an hour? How long is a person realistically going to wait? If your team is busy and gives short, rushed answers, does it still outperform something like a chatbot? How valuable is it that customer experience includes an excited message with a detailed answer and passion behind it? Remember, what humans can do and what they actually do isn't always the same. What we can do on our best day and what we do every other day don't always align. On the other side, chatbots offer instant messages. They're available 24/7 and they never get tired. They never miss message. They can pre-qualify and they can collect details and route inquiries automatically. But they can also feel rigid, scripted, or limited. And if they're not designed well, they can create friction instead of momentum. But who defines that? Just like anything else, chat AI can be just like a human. It depends on the implementation. You can have a human employee that does a really great job, doesn't mean all humans are great in that role. Now with chat AI, there are many elements that make it succeed, and we're going to talk about those in a moment. But out of the two, which one actually converts more leads? And the honest answer is, it depends on the context. Let's start with the first main variable, traffic volume. If your website gets low traffic, maybe a few inquiries per day, live chat can be powerful. Your team can give full focused attention and conversations can be thoughtful and high quality. Because you don't have high traffic, you can respond quickly and each inquiry can get reasonable attention and time. And therefore each lead can be handled successfully. But if your site gets higher traffic, especially with repetitive questions, live chat can become more of a bottleneck. Delays can increase, conversations can also tend to feel rushed, and opportunities therefore may slip. Considering the fact that on average, a lead may only be on your site for a short window before bouncing, you want everything in place to grab their attention instantly. And if your site is able to grab their attention and they stay long enough to engage and they're able to give attention to that chat, which statistically even traditional chatbots before modern AI have been among the strongest tools for increasing engagement because they immediately create an interaction. That momentum really matters. But if someone has to wait long for a live reply, they can slip away. The next variable is lead value. If each lead is worth a significant amount, for example, a very high ticket service or a large contract with a very complex sales cycle, the human touch can make a measurable difference. The way I'll always put it is this: AI is fantastic in situations that it can repetitively understand and prepare for in advance. But the nuances of human emotions, highly specific objections, or unpredictable edge cases can be harder to pre-plan. And therefore, if something is incredibly high value and also not very common in terms of inquiry value and overall traffic, it may be worth having a current team member monitoring chats while they're doing their work, especially if you're only getting 1 or 2 of those inquiries a day. But if your lead value is a little lower and the volume is much higher, or even if the value is high but the volume is also high, the economics kind of shift. Paying staff to answer every inquiry live may not be sustainable. You might need to hire additional people, and it might simply not be feasible in that case. Automation may improve margins without dramatically reducing conversion rates. Now, it's also really worth mentioning that chat AI, meaning a chatbot powered by modern AI, has gotten to a point where it's incredibly effective. We've done dozens of implementations for chat AI on websites and social media, and consistently the results are very strong. Because it's over text, you're able to control the way the AI speaks. You're able to refine tone. You're able to train it to sound more natural and even human. And because there's no voice, like a spoken voice behind it, most people rarely question it. You can even introduce slight response delays so it feels like someone is typing thoughtfully. But apart from that, hiding the fact that it's AI isn't always beneficial. Transparency can build trust, and the key point is that a well-built chat AI can perform extremely well in many scenarios. Then there's the next point, which is staffing, which is a very important question. And the first one you need to ask is, do you have trained people available to respond quickly? Can you maintain a sub-minute response time during peak hours? And can you ensure consistency in tone and quality? And just as importantly, do you actually need to? Do you need someone specialized, or can general answers suffice? Does every inquiry require expertise, or could structured responses handle most of it? Have you found that responding within 1 minute truly impacts conversations, or have you discovered that responding hours later makes no meaningful difference? Everything is related to you as a business. If those questions you answered and you realized that you don't need specialized staff and you can hire anybody to do it for relatively cheap, then you can. If you don't need to achieve a sub 1 minute or 5 minute or 10 minute response time and your industry is against that, then you don't have to do it. It's simply about what works for your business. Now, live chat only works when it's actually live and responsive. All the advantages of being human, like the empathy, the flexibility, the nuance, only works when humans are at full energy, full capacity, and full availability. If messages sit unanswered, a chatbot may outperform simply because it engages instantly. And then we have operating hours. Are your potential customers visiting during business hours? Are they coming from different time zones? Are they browsing on weekends, holidays, or during promotions? Can you realistically having someone monitor chats over something like Christmas or Easter? Live chat disappears when a team member logs off, but something like automation through a chatbot doesn't. So if a meaningful percentage of your work, your traffic comes outside your working hours, or even if it's a smaller percentage that you'd still like to capture, a chatbot may be a strong fit. Now, when does live chat tend to actually outperform? It often wins when traffic is moderate and more manageable, especially if you already have a team member whose role includes monitoring inquiries and only spends a short period of time, like 10 to 15 minutes a week. In that case, it's probably worth letting them handle it as is, as it doesn't consume much time or of their energy. It also wins when lead value is extremely high and you don't want to even risk losing it. And you can also afford to dedicate someone to monitor those conversations. It really succeeds when speed of the response is already strong and consistent, where nuance and deep trust building are required. And in certain industries, perception also matters. Think about luxury experiences or high-end services, premium positioning. Some clients may feel that speaking with an AI takes away from that exclusivity. Others may feel that AI signals innovation and sophistication. It depends on your brand and your audience. And of course, live chat wins when you actually have the staff to support it properly. And again, it's important to mention that everything mentioned before needs to succeed all the time. So it can't be that occasionally humans do really great, but other times they don't. So either it's consistently one way or another, or it doesn't work. Remember, things can only work when they are consistent so you can plan for them. The same way you don't want your paycheck to be fluctuating up and down all the time, you don't want your leads, your traffic. You'd like it to go better, not up and down. But when does chat AI tend to win? It often wins when traffic is high or unpredictable, when staffing is limited, when there are budget constraints, or when inquiries are repetitive and when questions can be answered within a structured flow. It also wins when you implement escalation properly. Most modern chat AIs, including the ones we implement, can escalate to a human when needed. So 70 to 80% of inquiries can be handled automatically, and the more complex conversations can be routed to a live agent. That hybrid model is often where the real strength lies. But instead of relying on generalizations like we're talking about here, here's a practical way that you can answer these questions for your business and run a super simple A/B test that you can actually prove and get some clarity. So first, split your traffic evenly for a defined period. So for example, 30 days, send 50% of your visitors to a live chat experience and the other 50% to a chatbot experience. Now, how you actually get started on these, there are many different solutions for a chatbot. Now, like I mentioned before, we do this, but apart from that, there's many other providers out there that you can do a chatbot for a short period of time to see how you feel about it. Not to mention, for the live chat, you can currently implement the existing solution you have or the next available option for your industry. So that may be a human on your team, or that may be a company that you offshore to. Whatever it is for you, try it. Now, during this time, while the traffic is split, measure your lead conversion rate, measure your completion rate, measure your cost per lead, your sales qualification rate, your total revenue generated. Measure all the things that matter to you. Then compare the outcomes with no assumptions, just the data. It's also important to look beyond the surface level metrics. If live chat generates fewer leads but higher quality ones, that really matters. If the chat AI generates more leads but with a lower close rate, that also matters too. Sometimes the answer isn't either or. In many cases, the strongest system combines both. Automation handles the initial engagement and qualification, and then the human steps in when the conversation reaches a certain threshold or requires escalation. A very common approach that we take is if someone has an issue with it being AI, we don't force them to communicate with AI. We give them the offer to leave a message for a team member or to transfer directly to a human. Therefore, even if someone doesn't like speaking with AI and identifies it, it doesn't hurt the relationship or break trust. But now here's the real question. It isn't which tool sounds better. It's this. Where are your constraints? Where are your opportunities, and what does your data actually say? Because at the end of the day, conversation isn't determined by whether a human or an AI answers first. It's determined by how quickly, clearly, and confidently you help someone take the next step, and how enjoyable and seamless you make that experience. Now, if you'd like to see whether a chat AI could be a good fit for your business, and you'd like to speak with an expert on the subject, you can scan the QR code right here on the screen and talk with a specialist from our company. They'll be able to give you more information about what chat AIs can actually do, where they could fit into your operation. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for notifications so you get notified when we release more videos just like this. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.